Now at 5, a 5-year-old among 4 people killed in a violent weekend. What we know right now about these killings spanning from Marysville to Modesto.
And this is the week you'll pay more with a new gas tax. What this means for your family with every tank.
And wild horses roaming the heartland. Tonight, concerned these creatures could end up slaughtered.
Plus, what we're learning about a call girl in the Kennedy assassination documents just released. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Sherman Roger.
And I'm Curtis Ming. Your news starts right now.
Getting answers from all across Northern California. This is the CBS 13 News.
He just started kindergarten. It is pretty tragic.
Tonight, neighbors on edge, bullet holes in the garage of a Modesto home, a 5-year-old boy dead in a drive-by shooting, a 6-year-old boy also shot but expected to survive as detectives work to hunt down the killer.
Now, the shooting in Modesto, just one of 4 violent acts this weekend, leaving 4 people dead, including shootings in Marysville and Lincoln and a stabbing in Stockton. But we begin our coverage tonight in Modesto.
CBS 13's Angela Masalam is outside the home on Lake Park Court with what we know about these very young victims.
Yeah, Curtis Shurin, the little boy was just getting ready to celebrate his 6th birthday next week. His family tells me they never thought they instead would be planning for his funeral. Modesto police say the 5-year-old was a victim of a drive-by shooting on Lake Park Court Saturday night. Family members have identified him as Xavier Smith. They tell us Xavier loved football and he played for the Central Valley Jets Little League team. His family also says he was excited to make his first trip to the Super Bowl next year.
You know, he was a good kid. I used to talk to the little boy. Sad to see him go like that, you know.
Modesto police also say a 6-year-old child was shot in the drive-by, but they're expected to survive. Police don't yet know the motive of the shooting, which left one neighbor's garage riddled with bullet holes. Now, police are still searching for the suspect or suspects. Coming up at 10 tonight, we hear from Xavier's extended football family. They say they're just as shocked as his own family to hear about what happened.
Angela Masalam in Modesto, thank you.
Tonight, an arrest in Stockton after 2 people ended up stabbed. Investigators say a fight broke out on East Oak Street in a remote neighborhood in the east part of town. 1 victim died. A 2nd victim is in critical condition. Investigators have not released the suspect's name. In Lincoln, police are searching for the suspects in connection to a late-night shooting that left 1 man in his 60s dead and another injured. Happened around 10:30 last night on East 8th Street. Police say the suspects fled the scene. They're described as white men, both wearing masks at the time of the crime. Police say evidence suggests this was not a random act and there is no threat to the community. If you have any information, contact Lincoln Police.
Tonight, a manhunt is underway in Marysville after a man was shot in the face and died. 3 men seen running from the scene near 1st and Yuba Streets just before midnight. The name of the victim has not been released. And tonight, the driver of this pickup wedged under a parked trailer is dead. Rescuers in Turlock raced to reach the victim at 5th and D Streets overnight, but the driver had already passed away.
Well, 3 weeks after the wine country fires broke out, finally, full containment is expected Tuesday.
The fires killed 42 people and destroyed 6,500 structures. Now, the Tubbs, Pocket, Nuns, and Atlas fires blackening a total of 110,000 acres. Now, that is the size of both the entire cities of Sacramento and Stockton combined. Each fire listed as 98% contained tonight.
And 2 people are in custody this evening, accused of looting the fire-stricken communities in Santa Rosa. Sean Kraniak and Christina Marsh from Monterey were located in a stolen vehicle thanks to an alert citizen who saw them enter a burnt-out apartment carrying out a flat-screen TV. Police found numerous other stolen items, including the ashes of a family pet.
And tonight, a pledge from Congress to help fire victims in wine country.
House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi is one of 5 members of Congress who toured the fire zone this weekend. She pledged to do everything she can to get more help flowing from Washington.
Police Chief Schroeder took us through the areas, and it was just unfathomable, the amount of destruction that we saw. As I say, so my colleagues will have to understand this is different from anything else, many times over.
Governor Jerry Brown declared Saturday a day of remembrance for wildfire victims and ordered Capitol flags to be flown at half-staff. In a statement, he said, quote, "As we mourn for those we have lost, let us dedicate our lives First, to the aid of the survivors, and then to the causes of safety and preparedness in our increasingly fire-prone state.
Tonight marks 5 years since Hurricane Sandy slammed New Jersey and New York. That storm claimed 182 lives.
CBS 13's Wendy Gillette is in New York, where the rebuilding is still happening.
Marjorie Wise is still waiting for her leaking ceiling to be repaired, 5 years after Superstorm Sandy flooded her Brooklyn neighborhood.
The water took the cars, hit it against the trees. So here was just a mess.
She's one of thousands of Sandy victims still awaiting repairs after the storm left behind more than $70 billion in damage. They've endured years of red tape, complicated applications, and cases of contractor fraud. The storm filled Wise's basement with 5 feet of water. She got funding for that, but not for her damaged roof and leaking ceiling, just now undergoing repairs.
I had other organizations that came, but they did not really help me.
FEMA and state funds enabled Joseph Lynch to repair his Brooklyn home. He was back in 18 months after Sandy. The storm flooded the house with 4 feet of water.
It was just below the circuit breakers.
It's a night he'll never forget.
I think most of us, and myself included, were shocked that that water came so high.
If another storm like Sandy hits, Lynch will be more protected. His house is being elevated 6 feet on piers as part of a program called Project Uplift.
The next time a storm like Sandy hits, that home will receive the same amount of water and the same amount of damage, and we want to prevent that from happening.
Lynch is out of his house about 8 months while it's raised. Some in the same situation have decided that's too long to be out of their homes. Others can't get enough funding. Advocates say it's important for the nation to remember that the rebuilding from Sandy is still not over, as attention turns to more recent hurricanes, including Harvey, Irma, and Maria.
And today, the mayor of New York City announced a $145 million investment for projects to help withstand storms in the future.
And tonight we're finding out the true financial toll of hurricanes Harvey, Irma, and Maria. The storms grounded flights, halted production, and closed stores in Texas, Florida, and Puerto Rico. Cruise lines, airlines, and insurance companies also hit hard. Now, despite the economic setbacks, the U.S. economy still grew 3% between July and September. And tonight we're talking about possible flooding in the same areas hit by Hurricane Sandy.
Yeah, let's turn to meteorologist Lisa Meadows in the Weather Center. And Lisa, this storm wasn't as bad as the previous hurricanes, but it still had some damage.
Yeah, you know what? We are seeing what we had Tropical Storm Philippe. That was the 16th named storm of the Atlantic hurricane season. It spawned this, what you're seeing right here, a tornado actually out in the West Palm Beach area. This happened last night, and then also another tornado was actually reported out into the Miami area. And the reason for that, when it comes to these hurricanes, as they start to make their way into landfall, the front right quadrant is the location where you could see some tornado spawn, and that's exactly why they saw that there. That tornado did cause some damage and went through a mobile home park. So what's up with Philippe now? It's pretty much died out. You can see the remnants here, a little bit of convection out into the Atlantic, a little bit of storms trying to pop up out into the Atlantic. And then here's where we're looking out where Sandy did hit this time last year. A lot of rain and even some flooding. But back here at home, this is what we're talking about. Look at this, the potential for clogged gutters, slick roads, and also mountain impacts coming up here with our next storm system. Full forecast coming up in a bit, Sharon.
All right, Lisa, thanks. In just 3 days, prices at the pump are set to climb. Statewide, the tax on gasoline will go up 12 cents per gallon, and for diesel fuel, the excise tax will jump by 20 cents per gallon. Now, the bill signed into law is expected to raise about $5 billion a year to fund state and local transportation projects.
But what does this mean for you and your family? CBS 13's Ed Crane is getting answers for us right now in West Sacramento. Ed?
Well, Curtis, the spin from the Capitol goes like this. It's going to cost about $52 billion. We need to fix these roads, and it's just a few cents per gallon. But when you pencil it out, you might be surprised. Let's average a few things out. Start with the average fuel tank, about 15 gallons. The average price per gallon in California, about $3 a gallon. Now, if you fill up once a week, you'll pay $2 more. Fill up twice a week, $4 more, or $16 a month. We'll round it out to about $200 per year. 2 cars in your household, $400. Shaniqua Ellsby says she might be driving less.
I may have to, or think of other alternatives.
Johnny Dominguez is a high-octane skeptic.
And the last thing I need is more gas to go up, just so them to go around and go, We'll worry about that later.
And Benton Tennyson is going to take a hit.
Probably like $350 extra a year just on the fuel taxes. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely have to budget for it. I got the 2 kids, and we've got animals and everything, so it's definitely going to come in, cut into our funds.
Back to those averages again. Walmart tells us the average shopping cart of goods runs about $80. So that $200 more from the gas tax, that's about 2.5 big shopping trips worth. And even if you don't drive, you'll pay more because all those trucks that bring goods to your store or your door are expected to pass the bite on to consumers through higher prices. Well, now here's a little bit of good news. While that 12 to 20 cent tax takes effect on Wednesday, that's November 1st. That's also when the winter fuel comes rolling into the gas stations. That's cheaper, so your tax bite increase only could be about a nickel or so. Now, if you didn't like our Walmart computation, consider this. That $200 you'll pay in extra gas tax would buy you 33 lunches at In-N-Out, 47 lattes, or 18 trips to the movies, and the list goes on. Back to you.
But we won't feel the heat until probably the spring or the summer when we get back to that summer point. All right, Ed, thank you.
Governor Brown is slamming the president's tax plan and California's Republican representatives who back it. The governor described them as a herd of sheep who follow the president's wishes. All 14 Republican House members voted yes on the budget. It allows for a huge deficit to finance tax cuts. Among those cuts are state and local tax deductions that many Californians use. To this now, tonight, we could be just hours away from the first arrest in Russia's possible role in the election.
CBS News now confirming a federal grand jury approved the first criminal charges. Special counsel Robert Mueller is investigating Russia's role in the 2016 U.S. presidential election and if the Trump administration knew about it. Tonight, an indictment is sealed, so we don't know who is charged, but we could learn as early as tomorrow.
Still to come here on your news at 5, roaming the heartland tonight, why these wild horses could end up slaughtered.
And rolling out the red carpet tonight in Sacramento, the movie directed by a Sacramento native making its local premiere.
Plus Raiders and the Bills. We've got your highlights. That's next.
Well, tonight we're learning a high-priced call girl was asked to help investigate John F. Kennedy and the Rat Pack for possible sex parties. The memo is part of 2,800 documents just released related to his assassination. Now, according to the memo, 3 years before Kennedy's killing, the FBI tried to get the call girl to wear a wire, but she said no. Tonight, roughly 300 files are still classified for now over national security.
Wild horses have been part of the American West for hundreds of years. They've been federally protected since 1971. But if President Trump's proposed budget passes, that could change.
Tonight, CBS 13's Meg Oliver says tens of thousands of wild horses could end up slaughtered.
In Beaver County, Utah, wild horses of every color, from charcoal to caramel, charge across the range. A symbol of the great American West, one that's multiplying by 20% a year.
Just in the last 10 years, we've gone from 30,000 to over 70,000.
What happened?
Within the last 3 years, we pretty much quit gathering.
For decades, the Bureau of Land Management rounded up excess horses and placed them in private ranches and feedlots until they ran out of space.
Now the big fear is that the government will legalize the slaughter of these horses. Under President Trump's proposed budget, the Wild Horse Management Program would lose $10 million in funding. The spending plan would also remove language from a 1971 act that would open the door for wholesale destruction.
They're under attack by our own government.
Wild horse advocate Simone Netherlands has dedicated her life to protecting these majestic Mustangs.
Are there too many wild horses now?
Absolutely not an overpopulation problem of wild horses. What we have is a discrimination problem.
Across 10 states, 26.9 million acres of public land are set aside for wild horses. Meanwhile, there are 155 million acres for livestock. Deep in the desert mountains outside Milford, cattle rancher Mark Winch says the range is under attack, with too many horses devouring the forage.
We're trucking cattle 150 miles, whereas in the past we're able to herd them 10 miles.
Do you think that's the answer, to slaughter these wild horses?
What do you do with your cats and dogs when there's too many in the city? Do you just let them run rampant?
Wild horse advocates want time to try new types of contraception to control the population. But time is running out. A new federal budget could make scenes like this history.
Now, as far as the timeline goes, President Trump is pressuring the House to vote on his budget soon.
If it passes, Congress still needs to approve the appropriations bill.
Now time for your Sunday replay. The Oakland Raiders face the Buffalo Bills today.
Were the Raiders able to pull off a win without their starting running back, Marshawn Lynch? Well, it was a brutal loss for the Raiders, who rushed only 54 yards on 14 attempts. Final score here, 14-34 Bills.
49ers facing a 3rd down and 7.
Now to this, the Niners taking on the Eagles. Despite the win, the Eagles quarterback Carson Wentz was sacked 4 times. The final score of this game, or whatever that was, is 10-33 Eagles. Now, 8 weeks into this season, get this, the Niners have not won 1 game, and this is the first time that has happened in franchise history.
I know, a lot of Niner fans are pretty disappointed
Down in the dumps.
now. All right, let's turn things over to Lisa Meadows. You're tracking, first of all, really nice forecast, but changes on the way.
A lot of people asking me about Halloween.
Yeah.
How's the Halloween forecast? It looks good. No worries there. The weekend, not so much, especially if you're traveling in the Sierra. So I want to pay attention to this forecast. Right now, though, things are looking pretty good. Let's take a live look outside to Mount Diablo right now. Things are pretty quiet across the high country, across most of Northern California. We are seeing pretty quiet weather in place. We'll go with mostly sunny skies, a couple of high clouds. Looks like we've got a couple of high cirrus clouds there. Call mare's tails, actually, because they look kind of wispy like little horse tails. Cirrus clouds along with a fair amount of sun. Here's the current satellite and radar picture. When it comes to your satellite picture, we are seeing some cloud cover, mainly further off across the south, the San Joaquin Valley. We got a little bit of a disturbance across Southern California at this time, so that's pulling in a little bit of moisture, a little bit of cloud cover across Northern California, but most of us cloud-free at this time. Temperatures are in the 70s and the 80s, 75 in Sacramento, 76 for Stockton, 81 in Marysville. Foothill temperatures, you're in the 70s here, and then the high country, 59 degrees, your current temp as we look out to South Lake Tahoe. So what about those winds? We do have a wind coming through the delta. It's at 18 miles per hour in Fairfield. So for the valley, that takes us to about 10. Not too bad. And not too bad for your forecast tonight either. As you can see, temperatures tonight dropping back into the 50s. Pretty much the lower 50s here. High temps back to the 70s. When it comes to Sacramento, low 10, 49. High temp tomorrow, back to 70. What a difference here. We had high temperatures in the 80s, mid-80s, 10, 15 degrees above average. Not the case here. Winds out of the south at 10 to 15 tomorrow. Tomorrow we are going with partly cloudy skies, so we might have a little bit more cloud cover in place. Forecast as we make our way into the foothills, high temperatures pretty much around 70 degrees. For the Sierra, also anticipating partly cloudy skies with a low temp of 33, back up to 68 for tomorrow. And what about South Lake Tahoe? You're below freezing tonight, 30, back up to 61. Bay Area, for the Monterey Bay area, you may actually deal with a little bit of drizzle and also some fog. Fog applicable for the San Francisco region too. A little breezy, west wind 10 to 25 with a high temp tomorrow coming in at 60 degrees. As we make our way to Fort Bragg, anticipating that low of 50 tonight, back up to 60. Also could be seeing some fog in the Fort Bragg area. This is where the changeup is. Futurecast, upper level low drops in. This is our second wet weather maker for the wet season. Widespread rainfall possible with this storm system and much cooler temperatures. So here it is. Here's your timing. As early as Thursday, the high country, higher elevations of the Sierra to the north might see a little bit of rain push in. For the valley, for most of Northern California, we're waiting till Friday. First potential chance of rain would be Friday morning, more likely Friday afternoon and evening. Then Saturday, we pulled the cold front through. And then this brings in a chance of rain for Friday, Saturday, also keeping it in the forecast for Sunday. We're talking about 1 to 2 inches of rainfall possible for Sacramento and locations in the valley. When it comes to the high country, Saturday morning is when you could start to see an impact when it comes to Sierra snow travel. So that's the time frame that you got to watch out for this here, but also noticeably cooler. High temps from the 70s, 60s, even just into the 50s. So our next wet weather maker, we're going to be busy coming up here next weekend. We'll send Sharon up to the snow.
Oh, great. Can't wait. I'm just happy that the kids get to enjoy Halloween, though, without it being wet.
It's miserable when you're out there in the costume with the rain falling on you.
Exactly. Lisa, thanks.
Coming up, rolling out the red carpet, tonight's big movie premiere right here in Sacramento.
And showing off their skills, dozens of local high school students competing in a fierce robotics contest. We're going to take you there.
Well, some of the brightest minds of our future in Elk Grove battling bots, as in robots.
Yeah, CBS 13's Kebby Brown is at Pleasant Grove High School, where dozens of teams are competing.
In March is when the real competition begins, but until then, students can practice their skills.
We want our drive team to get more experience for our robotics competitions coming up this March and April.
More than 30 teams from all around California are having a friendly competition. Some of the brightest minds, all in one gym.
Many of our graduates go on to be STEM researchers or major in fields of engineering or computer science.
It takes about 6 weeks to build a robot, and then through competition comes the fine-tuning of the team.
This competition started in 2013 with an idea of making an off-season competition in the Sacramento area.
Awards are given out but won't mean anything for the actual season. And what used to be done outside in a field has now grown over the past decade.
The competition has grown, it's become more competitive, more exciting.
Pretty cool hair.
Probably for Halloween,
right,
I'm imagining, not for the robots.
Exactly. And many students go on to attend Ivy League schools like MIT or Harvard. So
Smart
good luck.
kids.
Yeah.
Tonight, the red carpet is rolled out in Sacramento for the local premiere of Lady Bird. Two-time Academy Award-nominated actress Saoirse Ronan stars in it. The film, directed by Sacramento's Greta Gerwig, highlights some of the city's famous landmarks like the Tower Bridge and the McKinley Park Rose Gardens.
Greta, being the local she is, you know, she went to St. Francis High School and grew up in River Park.
She wrote the script based on real life experiences that really happened in our town, in our city, around our neighborhoods.
But the premiere is invitation only at Sacramento's Tower Theater tonight. But our Lisa Meadows will be there. She's spying on all the action, and she's going to let us know what she saw tonight at 10 o'clock.
The Rocky Horror Picture Show is back for its 4th year. This rock and roll musical kicks off at That's Showbiz Theater in Stockton Halloween night and runs through November 4th. Tickets are $15 to $25. We'll be right back after a quick break.
Finally here at 5, Nashville looked a bit like a scene from Jurassic Park this weekend.
Yeah, look how fun this is. It's the T-Rex Stampede. Around 25 runners took to the streets. Organizers say the event started as a joke on social media, but quickly gained interest.
Not so easy to run in those costumes.
So cute, though.
The news station even flew the chopper for this. This is a big story. All right, see you tonight at 10.
Is he bringing a wedgie?